One Piece entered the endgame some time ago. Since Luffy's Gear 5 awakening and Kaido's defeat, more and more mysteries have been solved. The Holy Knights appeared and the Gorosei, who were passive the whole time, finally sprung into action. But most importantly, the secret Shadow King of the world, Imu himself, is now forced to act. He was built up as one of the final antagonists a very long time ago. The secret puppet master who was and is controlling the world government. Imu for over 1,000 chapters was more mysterious and passive than the Gorosei. Except for some small actions, hints and minor information, there were so far no major leaks about him. So it's legitimate to compare the situation around Imu with Kaguya from Naruto. Kaguya also became active relatively late in the story, with minor prior information, and she also happened to be the main opponent of the protagonist. Kaguya wasn't popular as the final boss of Naruto. Online, people express worries about Imu and One Piece, saying that Imu might be a renewed Kaguya. In this video I will explain why Kaguya didn't work out as the final antagonist. Madara and Black Zetsu are the keys to understand it. As a result, it becomes clear how Oda, with the information he already gave us about Imu, prevented a route similar to that of Kaguya. Kaguya entered the story very late. Madara already activated the infinite Tsukuyomi. After that, Black Zetsu committed the great betrayal. Kaguya basically replaced Madara as the final antagonist. The whole fight against Kaguya was very intense, and her raw power was frightening. Kaguya is the origin of chakra, and therefore a lot stronger than Jubi Madara. She was able to replace the world with her own dimensions, where she could control things like gravity and create portals anywhere. As we can see, the problem of Kaguya wasn't her abilities. She didn't lack strength, it's actually the other way around. In terms of power, she was an upgrade to Madara. The problem was her character, or rather, the lack of a character. It felt like Kaguya had no real personality. She always seemed very distant, as if someone was controlling her, and that her goal to get all the chakra back wasn't a volunteer decision of hers. The only time she expressed genuine emotions were when she remembered Hamura and Hagoromo. Online there's the urban legend that Kishimoto decided to bring in Kaguya because he wanted to make something different than Kubo did with Aizen in Bleach. As seen from the outside, there were many similarities between Aizen and Madara. Another legend was that Kishimoto pulled Kaguya because Madara became too strong, and Kishimoto allegedly didn't know how to take him out. I honestly don't think that any of these stories are true. Kishimoto took a lot of inspiration from Japanese mythology and literature. Princess Kaguya is a figure from one of the oldest fairy tale stories in Japanese history, the Taketori Monogatari. In addition, in Naruto Classic there was already Kimimaru, the last member of the Kaguya clan. Kishimoto planned to have Kaguya as the final antagonist the whole time. The problem was the execution. Kaguya came as a replacement for Madara. In contrast to Kaguya, Madara had all credibility as the final antagonist. Madara had a detailed, mapped out character with a lot of history and talent. Madara was special from the beginning because he was the incarnation of Indra. We saw his troubled childhood and how it totally traumatized him. Countless children had to die in war. Uchiha versus Senju. We saw the dream of Madara and how he became friends with Hashirama, who had the same dream as him. Madara loved the last brother he had, who was then eliminated by Tobirama. In accordance with his brother's final wish, he continued the war until accepting his ultimate defeat. Only then Madara made peace with the Senjus. Afterwards, they together founded Konohagakure. Madara was even the one who gave it its name. It seemed that his shared dream with Hashirama finally became reality. But Madara got more and more disappointed with the Uchiha clan and Tobirama becoming the next Hokage. Madara became susceptible to a new dream and the manipulation of Black Zetsu, the so-called Infinite Tsukuyomi. Madara planned and executed everything according to his plan, fighting against Hashirama another time, stealing his cells so he can awaken the Rinnegan, then manipulating Obito, making him an extension of his will, and giving Nagato his Rinnegan so Madara could be reborn again, and so on. The build-up of Madara, his deep involvement with history, his personal backstory, the absolute authenticity of his power and talent made him one of the most complete antagonists of anime. He had everything needed to be the final boss. Trying to replace him with an equal, if not better antagonist, after putting him in the spotlight for so long, is almost impossible. Kaguya lacked many things Madara had. She was teased, and as the origin of chakra, she also has history, but it never felt as though she had gotten close to Madara at any point. In terms of raw chakra and power, Kaguya was a lot stronger than Madara, but even that was highly debated, because it felt like Kaguya didn't know how to use her power to full extent. She probably would have been sealed away much earlier if Black Zetsu hadn't been given her instructions about how to fight. To undermine the difference in build-up with numbers, Edo Madara's entrance was in chapter 560, and the betrayal of Black Zetsu was in chapter 678. The duration of Madara's presence spanned a period of 118 chapters. There were also times he was less present during that time, but he still played a major role. Kaguya entered in chapter 679 and was sealed away in chapter 690. The whole fight against Kaguya were mere 11 chapters. So Kaguya lacked a personality, the impact on history, and a proper build-up to be accepted and perceived as a worthy final antagonist. Madara had all these listed qualities and therefore was an authentic final antagonist. Kishimoto could have partly implemented the missing pieces of Kaguya as an equal antagonist to Madara if he had made a stronger and perpetual connection between Black Zetsu and Kaguya, because Black Zetsu contained some of the qualities Kaguya lacked. He was there throughout the story, pulling the strings since the sealing of Kaguya. Black Zetsu manipulated Indra to awaken the Mangekyo and to fight against Ashura. He even manipulated the stone table of the Uchiha, which was one of the crucial triggers for Madara to leave the village and strive for the goal of the Infinite Tsukuyomi. To be fair, Black Zetsu never was a strong fighter, but he never had to be. As the manifestation of Kaguya's will, he had all the knowledge needed to influence anyone, and he did his job very well. Black Zetsu was also very smart. He always knew how to use his abilities the best, and later he literally became the battle IQ of Kaguya. I still don't think that a closer fusion of Kaguya and Black Zetsu would have made up for Madara. Madara's build-up and integration were on another level, but it's very unfortunate that Black Zetsu is a completely separate entity from Kaguya. For example, if Kaguya's quiet voice had been present all along through Black Zetsu, perhaps sometimes in short moments, expressing some of her grief and personality, then I think the situation surrounding Kaguya would have been completely different. But I guess Kishimoto imagined Kaguya to be a chakra powerhouse with less intelligence and Black Zetsu being the compensation for it. Now we went through all the important things to understand why Kaguya felt like a downgrade to Madara and therefore didn't work as the final antagonist. With that, we can switch to One Piece and Imu. Since Egghead and, in my opinion, the starting point of the end of One Piece, Imu started to act, step by step coming out of the shadows. The official information about Imu remain very limited. Imu is one of the founding kings of the world government. He is also at least 800 years old. He can provide special abilities for chosen people. He was there during the Void Century and therefore knew Joy Boy and Davy Jones. And he is the superior of the Gorosei, being the secret king of the world. It was multiple times implied that Imu had a special relationship to Joy Boy, and on Elbaf it was also hinted that Imu also has somewhat of a connection to the Davy clan. From all we already know about Imu, it's certain to say that his journey and character are much different from Kaguya. Although there are many similarities to Kaguya, there are probably even more differences. Imu has a direct connection to the Void Century. He has been present the whole time, probably fighting off Joy Boy and Davy Jones in the past at some point. The work Oda already put into the character and reveal of Imu makes it impossible for him to become a second Kaguya. With all the perpetual influence and solid connections Imu already has, it's safe to say that Imu seems a lot more like a mixture of Black Zetsu and Madara. I can understand why anyone might still be skeptical because we still know relatively little about Imu. But I think that once the mystery surrounding the Void Century is resolved and we see exactly what role Imu played, explaining his upbringing, the dreams he had and why he probably fought against Joy Boy and Davy Jones, people will acknowledge that Imu isn't anything like Kaguya at all. Talking about Kaguya hurts my heart, because I'm a big fan of Naruto, and her reveal and overall performance as the final antagonist was really disappointing, especially as the successor of Madara, who had everything. I also really like One Piece, and I am hyped for the final upcoming arcs. The Holy Knights, Gorosei, and Imu himself finally becoming active fuels the hype immensely. My gut feeling tells me that Oda won't choke the end. The great build-up he already did, and especially the triangle of Luffy, Blackbeard, and Imu, will be generational. There is so much potential even beyond these three main actors of the final. I'm relaxed about the endgame of One Piece. And I think Imu has the potential to become one of the best antagonists in the series. It really depends on Imu's backstory and the Void Century. As always, thank you for watching the video. Please let me know what you think about Imu and Kaguya. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Check out my other videos. I recently made a video about the female character problem in anime. And yeah, hopefully see you soon.